Okay, so Mariah Carey just dropped a new album. This year is also the 20th anniversary of her magnum opus, The Emancipation of Mimi. We don't ever need a reason to give Mariah her flowers, but we have too, so let's do it. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion, and today we are talking all things Mariah. Pablo the Don is here, and Michael Blackmon is here, and the one and only Juno-nominated singer herself, Tanika Charles. Michael, Pablo, Tanika, welcome to the show, y'all. How's it going?
Hi.
Hey. Nice to have you here. There's so much to talk about, but also, like, the thing with Mariah people is, like, your energy's bursting. Before we even begin, like, the energy's kind of, like, in your faces, which is great. Okay, a lot to get to, but let's just start with Mariah's brand new album. It's called Here for It All. Let's just hear a little bit of the title track.
Baby, I'm here for it all. The glory that shakes and withdraws. Even when you bounce off the wall. Baby, I'm here for it all.
Her 16th studio album. That's the title cut, Here for It All, Mariah Carey. Michael, I'm going to start with you. This is one of your favorite tracks off the album. What do you love about it?
Yes, it is my favorite track from the album. I think that it is a powerful closer for Mariah Carey. It's like a song that includes everything you love from Mariah. There are the whistles, there are the big notes, but I also love just how raw and vulnerable she is. Like, Mariah recently lost her mother and her sister, and anyone who's been through that knows that it changes you on, like, a cellular level. And so I love some of the, like, little nuggets that she includes lyric wise. There's something she says in the song where she's like, just whisper something softly to the wind you want Mariah to hear. And what I love about that is there's a song from the 1950s they called the wind Mariah. And that's like what she was named after. Her mom named her after that song. And so for us, like, as fans, we know that that's her, like, speaking and communicating about her mom. And even, like, with the clip you just played, she talks about, you know, I'm here for the glory, the shakes and withdrawals. Her sister is someone who dealt with, like, substance abuse. So it's, like, literally Mariah, like, laying it bare, like, literally just being like, here I am, I'm here for it all of it. And I'm just like, it's just such an amazing, incredible song.
There's a vulnerability to this record that I don't think I've seen from Mariah before, and she's someone who's been pretty vulnerable on her albums before. And so, like, Pablo, I've been seeing all the people who talk about, you know, just in terms of the vulnerability, not just vulnerability in terms of context, but also in terms of voice. You know, you get a sort of a raw and unfiltered Mariah voice here, and it's quite a different sound, I think, than what you've gotten before. How do you feel about the idea of getting a less kind of polished Mariah on this record?
I mean, I think it's adding, like, a different layer to who Mariah is. I think it's intentional, and I feel like it just adds to, like, the legacy of Mariah. Like, she's choosing to let us hear these parts that previously she would cover up in the studio, like the breath and, like, way more emotion even. So there's something super human about it, and I just feel like this version, like Michael said, is so much more personal. She's really letting people in, and it reminds you that, like, the voice that we all know is still there, but she's using it in a different way now, and it's way more storytelling than I think past Mariah has been more showboating and more diva. This feels more like the true Mariah Carey that we don't always get to see. And I keep thinking about how she pops up in her son's stream now. Like, she's just being Mariah now. Like, she's just letting us see her now.
I'm interested in that phrase that you just used. Maybe I'll ask you this, Tanika, this idea of, you know, we are getting a sort of more exposed Mariah who's a bit more human. Mariah, to me, has always been a bit superhuman. And that's kind of been, like, one of the main features of Mariah. So what do you make of this idea that we're getting a more human Mariah, Tanika?
Well, exactly that. There is a certain sense, I believe, of freedom that she has now. 16 albums deep. I think she's allowed to do whatever she wants on this album. So for her to actually sing in this lower range and just allow us to hear her so raw and unfiltered, I think it's very special, and it's beautiful to hear her here. Human is probably the best way to describe this album.
I should say that, speaking of Mariah's voice and, like, this idea of, like, you know, all the different, I guess, vehicles that she's inhabited with that voice, we asked you your all-time favorite song, Tanika, and this is the one that you chose.
you turned out to be.
The folks listening on the radio don't have the pleasure of seeing your faces as you match her runs with your hands and your fingers, which is just like an absolute delight to sort of watch. So that's the Vision of Love. That's a debut single from the first album, self-titled album, all the way back to 1990. This is when she very quickly establishes herself as a powerhouse, and you get reintroduced to the whistle register, the thing that she does that nobody else does. It's like, oh, that's actually not a human thing to do. Tanika, as a singer and performer, like, what's the thing that makes this song the Mariah song for you?
This is a vocally flawless take of it's a perfect song. The tone, the range, the ease in which she transitions between each registers. And like you mentioned, the whistle register alone is something that needs to be studied. I think she wrote that song when she was like 17 or 19 years old. So to have these beautiful lyrics and to sing this song with such passion, I'm pretty sure, you know, Mariah is the catalyst to me wanting to even be a singer. I would never hit those notes, but like the passion, I have to use the word passion because it just meant I could feel what she was singing. And that's the kind of singer that I hope to be. It's just a perfect song.
It's one of those songs that, like, every time that you hear it, you go like, I got to sit down and listen and
have
sort of pay
to.
attention to sort of every element of the performance. I should say also,
Absolutely.
Michael, I think there's something about that song and that's sort of like that's early 90s Mariah, where we started to talk about her, people started to talk about her as a studio singer, as like a singer who needs to be polished and sort of like, you know, the best Mariah only comes out sort of in the studio. She had to fight to prove to the world that she wasn't just a studio singer. Talk to us a little bit about why was that the case?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to get a little Sophia Petrillo. Picture it, 1990.
Get into it. Let's go.
So like you have to think about like that time. There's the whole controversy with Milli Vanilli. They were these singers who, you know, this group that was basically found out to be lip syncers.
Yeah. And
they had won like the best new artist in the 1990s. In 1990. The Grammy was rescinded after this controversy was like exposed. And the very next year, Mariah Carey won Best New Artist. And it was seen as like her legitimizing like that category again. But of course, like these rumors still persisted. Like, is this whistle note, like, is it manufactured? Like, are you really in here doing like these vocal acrobatics? And so to basically shut up like all of the naysayers, she does the MTV Unplugged, which is just like her, a live band. She has like Kelly Price as like one of her backup singers, Kelly Price along with her sister. And you basically get to see Mariah unvarnished. The voice is there and like she blows people away. She blows audiences away.
I'm glad that you brought that up because we have a little bit of that performance. So let's hear a little bit right now. Imagine you're just sitting in the audience and you see that happening in front of you. That is just unbelievable because it's Mariah Carey, live cover of the Jackson 5 song I'll Be There. Trey Lawrence and Kelly Price are on this track. It appeared on MTV Unplugged, and I kind of ended the idea of the idea that she's like, oh, just a studio singer because she did that in front of people. And when you do that in front of people, it tends to kind of shut them up. But Pablo, what we end up getting after that is like this crazy run of chart toppers in the 90s, right? So we've got Hero, we've got Always Be My Baby, we've got One Sweet Day with Boyz II Men. But the most sort of noteworthy moment in Mariah's trajectory revolves around all of this tension that she has with her label and also her then husband, Tommy Mottola, who is also the chairman and CEO of that label. Do you want to talk about like what made that moment so significant? Because like that is the turning point, I think, in Mariah's career.
Yeah, honestly, that entire era was so incredibly wild because it was really Mariah fighting for her freedom, which
Yeah.
is insane to say when you have a voice like that. Like, you have to fight to do
Mm.
what you want to do when you sound like that. But at the time, she was signed to Columbia, which Tommy Mottola, her husband, ran. So the power dynamic there was kind of weird. It reminds you of like Celine Dion and her husband, Renee,
Mm.
where he found her. And it felt like it was the repeat of that entire scenario. And he had a lot of control over her image, making her come off as white passing, despite Mariah always knowing she was black, always accepting she was black, putting it out there that she was black. He really wanted her to stay in this racially ambiguous lane, and he wanted her to stay in that racially ambiguous lane in terms of music as well. But Mariah felt so incredibly trapped, and she really wanted to start pushing her sound. She knew hip hop, especially on the East Coast, was on the rise, and she wanted to infuse that into her music. So she really made that push. And Tommy's response was actually bringing J-Lo into the situation.
I don't know her.
And kind
Who is
of,
she? Who is that? I don't.
not only did did the introduction of J-Lo birth one of the most iconic diva moments of all time, but it also put this entire tension into motion between Mariah and J-Lo, where Tommy started building and focusing a lot of attention and resources from Columbia that were meant for Mariah to Jennifer Lopez. I mean, I think everyone knows about the Heartbreaker sample that was stolen. So it just got so messy. And again, that's why we don't know that lady. We simply don't.
I should say
We still
because,
don't know her.
I don't know what
Still
block.
don't know
What
her.
blocker are we talking about?
it occurs to me that there will be people listening to this conversation who maybe don't know that specific moment, but there's a moment where Mariah Carey is asked about Jennifer Lopez, and just with the coldest ice in her veins, she smiles politely and says, "I don't know her." And that repeated again 20 years later because she's the best. But that turn that you're talking about, this idea of Mariah sort of trying to fight for the sound that she wanted, it gives us Mariah classic hits like these.
Me and Mariah go back like babies with pacifiers. Old dirt dog, no liar. Keep the fantasy hot like fire.
It's just like honey when your love comes.
Baby, if you give it to me, I'll give it to you. I know what you want. You know I got it. Baby, if you give it to me, I'll give it to you. As long as you want. You know I got it.
I wish people listening on the radio would find the YouTube video of this conversation so you can see your faces as they delight in these songs. So in order, that was Fantasy and then Honey and then I Know What You Want. Gigantic hits in the catalog of Mariah Carey. But Tanika, it is worth noting that she has been open. Mariah's always been open about wanting to incorporate R&B and hip hop into her music. But then there was a moment where, again, as Pablo was mentioning, you go to your label, you say, I want to do that, and they say no. What do you make of the hesitation that the music industry had to support her vision of what she wanted her career to sound like?
Well, again, Pablo absolutely nailed it. We have this artist who the label is trying to push as a pop artist. They want her to be palatable to, a certain audience. So now you incorporate hip hop, you incorporate R&B, maybe her reach wouldn't be as global as maybe the pop scene might be. And perhaps the wrong audience would be attracted. And maybe it would jeopardize sales. So I think at the end of the day, it all boils down to money. The hesitation was are they going to see that this is actually a Black artist when we're trying to push her towards a different kind of audience?
Right.
So that's what I think the hesitation is at the end of the day.
Because certain radio stations would not play you, right? If you were sort of seen as a Black artist, or suddenly you don't belong in the same kind of pop stations, because this is especially during a period of time when all the genre was king. Genre was more than anything else. All these sort of radio stations were formatted to sort of gatekeep certain artists out of those places, and so there's a certain sort of level of sophistication to her career in terms of her saying, no, it's really important to me. I want to make these sounds. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. We are talking about the pop legacy of Mariah Carey. Pablo is here, Michael Blackmon is here, and Tanika Charles is here. And I would like to bring it back to what is arguably one of the greatest songs of her career. It's like stank face on the whole time. The minute that you hear those drums, you're in it. Just immediately just in it. So that is We Belong Together. That is, of course. That is, of course, so that's from The Emancipation of Mimi, which is turning 20 this year. Michael, people consider this to be her magnum opus album, consider this to be like her magnum opus hit. What is it you think about this song and also like this album that makes it like, oh, this is like the apotheosis of everything that is Mariah?
No, I love that question. Also, I just love when you're in a group of people and you hear that song and it's just such a communal experience.
100%. The beat drops and you're like, we're doing this now. We're doing this now. Yes,
it's so
100%.
amazing.
Yeah.
But like, you know, prior to the release of The Emancipation, I think there was this feeling that it was all but over for Mariah. She, like you said before, she had a string of hits in the 1990s. She literally had a #1 hit every single year of the 1990s. But she hit some snags in the early 2000s. There was her infamous TRL incident where she's in these skimpy shorts and like a Loverboy t-shirt and she's pushing an ice cream cart. And Carson Daly is just like, what is going on with you? She'd been signed to Virgin Records for $100 million. They literally paid her like $28 to $30 million to end that contract when like her songs and albums were not performing as they thought they should, because, you know, we had Glitter that was not well received at the time, as well as like the Charm Brace. It's still amazing.
Oh, yeah. Of course, I'm in a group chat with glitter apologists. I mean, you have The Emancipation.
Oh, my
Keep it moving. It's not you doing.
and in the release of Charm Bracelet as well, which like I would argue has songs that are just as strong as The Emancipation. But, you know, she comes out with The Emancipation of Mimi, and it just, there's something about that album where it was like this reintroduction of who Mariah Carey was. And you're just like, oh, my God. And, you know, she releases It's Like That. It's like this little teaser. But then we get the song you just played, We Belong Together. And, you know, it's the song of the decade. I think about that time and it's just like, I felt like I could not escape that song. Yeah. When you play it, I hear it, I think about the times I was in the car with my mom and we were both singing it together because my mom is like who introduced me to Mariah Carey. Like I stole her #1's album when I was a little gay boy because like I could not believe what I was hearing. Like still to this day, like when I've never had that experience where I've heard a voice and I've just been like, oh my God, like a human being can sound like this. But yes, The Emancipation of Mimi was just like, it was the best-selling record of 2005. It just like, it solidified her legacy after people thought that like she was this pop act who had basically done everything there was to do.
I think what's worth talking about, Pablo, is with The Emancipation, but also just with her entire career, is that like, I don't think she gets the credit for being a songwriter. I don't think so. I don't think people sort of see her as a songwriter because of the way they think about divas as a category. You know, like divas sit atop a mountain and then they are handed songs and then they sing those songs. And we're so lucky to sort of get that. But that's not the case. I mean, she has a songwriting credit on almost every song of Emancipation of Mimi. And there's something to her career as a singer-songwriter, you know, as someone who's like had a hand in shaping so many of her hits that gets a little bit overlooked and a little bit underwritten. But where does that place her, you think, in terms of all other pop acts?
I think Mariah truly is in rarefied air. I don't think there's many people that also occupy that space. Like you said, I think she has co-written or actual like solo writer's credit on 18 of the 19 #1s she has. And also I think like that is just what real impact looks like. Like I think not only it's so rare to have someone who's a hit maker, but also is so ahead of the curve with music. Like she knew hip hop and R&B wouldn't just be a fad. She knew to latch herself to that. She knew that Jermaine Dupri was a really good producer that maybe in the 90s didn't get all the credit he deserved. So brought him back for The Emancipation of Mimi. And they make this incredibly, like Michael said, like the album of quite literally the decade, in my opinion. They do that together. I think Mariah quite literally is in a air of her own with this, and I think there isn't many people. Most people are either focusing on being a vocalist or being a songwriter. Rarely do we get both, and that right there is going to cement Mariah forever and ever. It's rarefied air that she's in.
Tanika, forgive me for this, but the parallel here is obviously Taylor Swift, because like she's an artist who like just you have all the sales that you have. No, I don't mean that. But what I mean is that you have all the sales that you have, but it's a part of her identity. It's a part of her public identity that she's also a songwriter. And I don't think it's the same part of a public identity for Mariah that she's a songwriter. What do you make of what Pablo was saying there?
Well, Pablo has said everything that I wanted to say. Dang it.
They do that.
I would I would say we need to, as an artist who collaborates with other musicians, we need to pay respect where respect is due. Mariah Carey is writing, is co-writing, is performing. She is all of the things. There was nobody that paved the way. She is and was the way. She is exactly where she needs to be. We need to appreciate that she has done above and beyond anything and everything that she absolutely needed to do as an artist. So yes, if a diva status is where she's at, that's where she can stay. I think that she is, I mean, I'm going off a little bit here, but I think she's at the top of her game. And I think she's always been at the top of her game, even when she wasn't where she needed to be.
Yeah.
We always knew where Mariah was, and she's here to stay. Period, point blank.
I love that I said the peril here is Taylor Swift, and all of you clutch your pearls, like all at once.
Yes.
We're like you all said beautiful gowns, great gowns, and I respect you for that, Michael.
Aretha was right.
She was right.
Beautiful gowns.
This is not this conversation. That's another conversation. That's another conversation.
Fair.
Michael, I think obviously we can't talk about Mariah without talking about her place as one of the last pop divas standing. The diva itself as a construct is something that we need, I think. It's like we sort of look to divas for something different. How does Mariah fit into the mold of divas that came before her?
Well, I think that's a great question. I feel like you have to look at her, what I would consider to be her progeny, which are people like Christina Aguilera, from Christina Aguilera to like Ariana Grande, and even folks like Leona Lewis. Like these folks have been molded in Mariah's shadow, but no one really comes close to having like her impact. I think about, these singers have started as people who have like these very pristine sort of images, and then they transition to having like these more scantily clad images and like more sexual and able to like be like more free. And I think that Mariah is to credit for that. And they've even said it themselves in interviews, like where they're just like, she is one of their inspirations. I also think about like the fact that her as a diva, she's someone who has like, she popularized like the hip hop collaboration, like with ODB. Like there weren't people doing those sorts of experimentations.
It became an industry standard after she did it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like that's what I think about as far as like Mariah being like one of the last standing divas. Like she has like this impact that no one else has really like had.
We have like 2 minutes left in the show, so I'm going to go around the table real quick and just ask each of you to just name 3 of your favorite Mariah songs. Pablo, why don't I start with you? What are 3 Mariah songs you got?
Okay. As a Yankee fan, I feel like I have to mention Honey because it's about Derek Jeter.
You're gonna come on a Toronto-based radio show right now and do that?
Yeah, whatever.
Brave.
You guys
Brave.
put up 13.
Brave.
You guys put up 13 and like you guys put up too many runs on us. I had to mention that.
Fine,
one, right?
go. We got Honey. Go on.
Second is absolutely Shake It Off. Shake It Off. That's gonna always
That's the
be
other
one
lady.
for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, I've got to pick. Ooh, this is a hard one. I think you can't go wrong with Touch My Body. That's just I just got to give her that one. That's it. There's so many.
That's speaking.
I mean, this is a bad
I'm
question.
sorry. Well, the rest of them have to go. So Tanika, you get 3. What do you got?
Okay, I am going to have to take it back to the eponymous album. I think Vanishing is a hit. I think I don't want to cry.
Michael's losing his mind, as you said.
Yes,
Yep.
of course.
Yes.
I don't want to cry, and I'll bring it back to We Belong Together. It slaps.
Yes. I love those picks. All right, Michael, take us home, pal. 3 picks. Over to you, pal. What do you got?
Elamin, this is literally Sophie's choice. But anyway, I'm going to say from the Daydream album, Underneath the Stars, she literally taught me the words heady and sublime. I also love The Roof from the Butterfly album because I just have to say this really quickly. Literally the lyrics. She's like, and then you softly pressed your lips to mine and feelings surfaced I'd suppressed for such a long, long time. And for a while, I forgot about the sorrow and pain and melted with you as we stood there in the rain, the poetry of it. And then like my last song would be Loverboy because it's so freaking flirty and she's just a little coquette. And I love that as a gay man.
You guys are a delight.
Album.
This conversation has been a delight.
Yes.
I appreciate you and your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show, you guys. This has been the best.
Thank you,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Give us the
Thank
Chick
you.
album.
Thank you.
Yes.
You guys are the best. Pablo the Don is a culture critic and part of those Wrestling Girls podcast. They were in Springfield, Massachusetts. Michael Blackmon is a culture writer and currently a comments editor at the Washington Post. He was in Arlington, Virginia. And Tanika Charles is a Juno-nominated singer and songwriter based in Toronto. Her latest album is called Reasons to Stay, and that is out now. Mariah's latest album is called Here for It All. That is also out now. My name is Elamin. This is Commotion. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.